Well, this is part 2 of a video series to talk about the future of Under the Radar. If you don't know what Under the Radar is or you missed part 1, you can look at this link right down here. It'll take you directly to the part 1 video. Here, we're going to talk about the next steps because now that we know that there is a future to Under the Radar, well, what is that future? It starts with, there's a couple of kind of unique influences that are guiding the future. One of them is McDonald's. Yeah, it's weird. We're connoisseurs of gourmet music, but yet we can learn a lot from a business like McDonald's. In 2011, they kind of launched a new strategy as an organization that they wouldn't maintain some of these old 30, 40, 50-year-old buildings. Instead, they take the wrecking ball to it, tear it down, and rebuild it from the ground up in its same place. And in doing so, they could better serve today's fast food customer. That means 2 drive-through lanes. It means Wi-Fi in every building, video monitors for the menu boards, more comfortable seating, outlets everywhere. And they're seeing success in that model. Now, for us, we have a future that's wide open. And if we were to take the wrecking ball to Under the Radar and kind of rebuild it from the ground up, what would we want it to look like for today's media consumer? Well, after we talked to the board of directors and some advisors, we quickly learned the top thing on our list is a new website. It's desperately needed. Our old website has stood the test of time. It's been a workhorse. It's been around for about 7 years, but we need to re-up this website. Our current website is not even mobile friendly. It pulls in wrong images when you link to things on social media. It's kind of a mess. So we desperately need something new and fresh for today's media consumer. Now take a look at this graph. We asked a question to over 100 of our followers and said, how do people most interact with the Under the Radar ministry? Now, what do you think the top answer was? You'd think it's the podcast, right? That's the thing we spend the most time producing. It's the thing that we put the most time marketing. No, it isn't. The number one answer was Noise Trade albums. The compilations that we put together 2 or 3 times a year, they're very popular and people love them. And it's a way that people are interacting with our ministry way more than we even expected. Podcast was the number 2 answer. What was the last place answer on the list? Yeah, it was listening to Under the Radar over the airwaves on radio. So it kind of goes to show you that maybe pulling the plug on the radio broadcast side of things is not necessarily a bad move for today's landscape. Now, we are going to continue audio podcasting, don't worry, but remember this, video is king. Even independent artists today are learning they have to create lyric videos and do live videos and make music videos because getting in front of people through video is an important way to interact. It grows your reach. It's actually why we're doing this video right here. It's because if I type this all up in a blog post and link to it, yeah, sure, some people would go through and read several paragraphs of information, but it's so much easier to click play, sit back for a few minutes, and just watch and listen to the content. Now, imagine us being able to sit down with some artists like we have for the years of Under the Radar, but instead of just being behind a microphone, we're behind cameras, and you get to see the interaction and you can lean in a little more in depth into the artists. Well, that's our plan for the future of UTR. Now, the other sort of interesting influence is Jimmy Fallon. Yes, I love Jimmy Fallon. In fact, I decided to ask a bunch of people, about 25 people, just informally, do you like Jimmy Fallon? And the answer was almost unanimously, yes, we love Jimmy Fallon. He's awesome. So I asked a follow-up question. When is the last time you watched a full episode of The Tonight Show? What do you think the answer was? There were like 2, 3, 4 people that said, yeah, we DVR it or we stay up late or whatever. But the vast majority of people that said they are a fan of Jimmy Fallon, they're watching clips, they're watching highlights, they're watching the game show stuff and the lip sync battles, they're watching clips on YouTube and Hulu. So it kind of goes to show us, just like Jimmy Fallon, we should be creating content that is very shareable, something that if you enjoy it, you can pass it on to people, and that we should create not only just long form content, but also some bite-sized content as well, that you can just get a quick interaction with an artist, learn something new, and then move on with your life. Maybe you come back later to the long form interview, but we're learning a lot through what's happening in today's media landscape. Just you browsing Facebook nowadays, chances are you're not listening to much audio or even reading long posts. You're watching a lot of video. It's just the way the world is working right now. So how are these influences creating a future strategy? Well, we actually have kind of a 3-phase strategy that we have in mind. A short-term, maybe 6-month strategy, a midterm, let's call it a 2-year strategy, and we also have like a 5-year strategy, sort of our long-term strategy. And in our next video of the video series, we're going to go a little more in-depth on each of those phases of our strategy to help you see a better picture for the future of UTR.